We're given a sum from n equals 0 to infinity, n factorial squared over 3n factorial. We want to see if this converges or diverges. This is an excellent problem for a root test, or the ratio test rather. So we're going to look at the n plus first term. Here we have to be very careful about using parentheses, because there's going to be a lot of parentheses here. Okay. So this is the n plus first term. I just replaced n with n plus 1. And then we're going to divide that by the nth term. Here you would use a absolute value, but it's not necessary since all of these are going to be positive since n goes to infinity. And there's no x. It's not a power series. Okay, now we can group these. So we have to be very careful here. Actually, before we do that, let's distribute this 3 to both the n and the 1 to get 3n plus 3. So that goes away. Okay, now we're going to group them. So it'll be the first and the last. And then over the two middle ones. Here, we want to put the n factorial squared first, and then the 3n plus 3 factorial. Now it's just a matter of simplifying, and this is going to be very tricky. Okay, so it's n plus 1 factorial squared. Just think of this as n plus 1 factorial times n plus 1 factorial. And then we're going to have 3n factorial. It's going to be n factorial squared, which is n factorial times n factorial. And then 3n plus 3 factorial, I can represent that as 3n plus 3 times 3n plus 2 times 3n plus 1 times 3n factorial. Okay. Now we can simplify. The 3n factorials are going to cancel. N plus 1 factorial over n factorial, that's just going to be n plus 1. Same thing here. Okay, now let's put it all together. We have limit as n approaches infinity. N plus 1 times n plus 1 will be n plus 1 squared over 3n plus 3 times 3n plus 2 times 3n plus 1. Now, this is going to be, the limit's obviously going to be 0, but let me show you how I get that. We're looking as n approaches infinity. So think of this as long term. Long term, n plus 1 squared is going to look very similar to n squared. And then 3n plus 3 times 3n plus 2 times 3n plus 1. We can ignore the 3's, the 2's, and the 1's, since those are not going to have much impact. And just take the bigger term, 3n, 3n, 3n. The product of those is 27n cubed, which then simplifies to 1 over 27n. And this obviously goes to 0. Okay, so the limit's going to be 0. It's less than 1. So by the ratio test, this converges.